Hi, everybody. This is The Simpsons Show. I am Robbie with my co-host, Matt, and we are here to talk about The Simpsons from the beginning. Matt, how are you?
I'm terrified. Okay, not really. These weren't particularly scary Treehouse of Horror segments, but except for that 3D world. That's the scariest thing I can think of.
I mean, LA in the mid-90s.
That was pretty scary.
It's pretty
I mean, it's
scary.
no New York in the 70s, but still.
I know. Hey, guys, we are brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Patreon.com/The Simpsons Show. For only $2 a month, gain access to all of our bonus content. It includes monthly bonus episodes, weekly episode reviews, weekly weekly written pieces by me, all kinds of stuff. New season of The Simpsons is just about to start, so we will be getting back into the new episode reviews as they come out. Have you seen the Adventure Time couch gag yet?
I have not.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. We have someone to thank, Matt.
We do, one of those wonderful people who gives us money.
Yes. Tim Hoey? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
That was a question mark. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your last name, but I do know how to say Tim. So thank you, Tim. Our episode this week is Treehouse of Horror number 6. Episode 3F04, originally aired October 29th, 1995, written by John Swartzwelder, Steve Tompkins, David S. Cohen, not his Futurama alter ego, directed by Bob Anderson, and with the live action bit directed by David Merkin. Is there any other Simpsons where they've used live action?
I don't believe so, no.
I can't.
Not that I recall off the top of my head.
I can't think of any. Let's see, it finished 21st in the ratings for the week. Nielsen rating of 12.9, approximately 12.4 million households. Highest rated show on Fox that week. Number 1.
Well, yeah, it's Treehouse of Horror. Those should always be number 1, even if they are middling at best.
I don't even think it was the Treehouse of Horror. I think it was I remember watching this. I remember being very excited watching this as a 10-year-old because of the 3D thing. I remember the 3D thing being very hyped up. Like all the commercials, like, see The Simpsons in 3D, computer animation, and it was 1995, so it was still a very, very exciting thing to see that on television, and especially with The Simpsons being involved.
It's just super exciting. Real computer animation on television, no one will ever be able to afford that.
I mean, it's not necessarily wrong, Matt. I mean,
no one's gotten there quite.
Most times, I mean, it's. As animation has gotten better, so the costs have also gotten increased. So it's not, you can afford animation. It's just not always necessarily the best animation. The shows that do use it a lot. The episode guest stars Paul Anka,
who's just himself.
Yeah, he as himself. He does exactly what they need him to do. The episode begins. The first act. There's no frame story in this one. There is a little, I guess, a slight couch gag. It's the family's hanged. But there's no. The intro is just Krusty as the Headless Horseman laughing.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it.
And then the family gets hanged. There's no frame story. There's no Marge, coming out to tell us about the dangers of scary stories. There's no kids in a Halloween party. No one in a treehouse. It's just here's some stories. I think they eventually have gone away most of the frame stories because they just take up too much of the time. The 3 separate acts have all gotten more intricate, I guess. They wanted to be able to put more time towards those and less towards just a frame story. That how many times can you do the people telling Halloween stories around each other?
Yeah, it's one of those things that the first few seasons you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and then afterwards just like, let's just get to the stories.
I mean, it's always going to be roughly the same. I mean, it's either, hey, look, we found this book and it has creepy stories in it, or we're telling stories around a campfire. It's just, are you afraid of the dark 100 times? So you don't need to do that every time. The first story is Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, which I think is the weakest of the 3. I
don't know. The middle one is pretty weak. We'll talk about it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so it's Homer is driving through the Miracle Mile, as he calls it, and there's no churches or libraries. Which greatly,
God forbid anyone be spiritual or intellectual.
It greatly pleases him because he gets to look at all the beautiful billboards. I mean, this is previously established. Homer loves billboards.
That's true.
He loves billboards, loves New Billboard Day, and he likes all the neon signs, all the big billboards, all the big statues, all the big advertising brands, which, I mean, that is in Homer's character.
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
Well, Homer loves buying things.
Yeah, Homer gets to Lard Lad. He wants to get himself a gigantic donut, much like the one that Lard Lad is hoisting out in front of the store. But his gigantic donut looks the same size as a normal donut.
That's true. That's why it's not a colossal donut and why he's so upset.
So upset. He vows revenge, comes back, steals the big donut from Lard Lad. I'm really impressed by Homer's ability to to throw that chain, the grappling hook, all the way around, just perfectly hit it the first time.
That's true. I feel like that's one of those things that only superheroes get to do.
Well, I think Homer he's so filled with righteous indignation about the size of his donut that he was fueled to be a better grapple hook thrower.
Yeah, that's it. We'll go with that.
Good. Thank you. Good. I'm glad we're in agreement. But, of course, at the same time he's doing this, there is some sort of disturbance in the atmosphere. Scientists speak of the something.
Radiation in the Van Allen belts.
Yeah. A bunch of mumbo jumbo. That basically all the mascots get zapped by lightning and come alive. Lard Lad, the first of them.
Radiation. It's always radiation.
Is lightning really considered radiation?
No. Well, I mean, technically it's light. So no, actually it's
just energy.
It's electricity. So kind of, sort of. It's electromagnetism. So that is technically a form of radiation. So sort of, but
So everything is radiation. I think we should have just stuck with that.
Pretty much.
Everything's radiation. But all the guys, everyone comes alive. We get Lard Lad, we get the Zip Boys, which are just the pet boys. It's they have giant heads and they have to push them around in shopping carts.
At least they're being accurate in terms of physics.
Yeah, we get a whole bunch of different mostly are just rip-offs of popular actual advertising mascots, and they just give them their own the Simpsons twist. Okay, so we do get some of these clips are kind of pretty short because a lot of this stuff is very visual. I mean, it's a Treehouse of Horror episode, so most of the episode is just visuals. It's not full of a lot of writing. It's more about hey, watch this giant monster rampage. But Marge is a little curious about where Homer got a giant donut that he's sitting and drinking in the living room.
Homer, where did you get that?
Get what?
That giant donut.
Well, I acquired it legally. You can be sure of that.
I appreciated that. Just the sheer fact that Homer's first response to stealing a giant donut is just to put it in his house and then sit in it and drink. Not complicated.
Yeah, with his pantyhose still on his head.
The pantyhose is still on his head. After the monsters start attacking, Kent Brockman is on the scene reporting.
Good morning, everybody. Panic is gripping Springfield as giant advertising mascots rampage through the city. Perhaps it's part of some daring new ad campaign, but what new product could justify such carnage? A cleanser? A fat-free fudge cake that doesn't let you down in the flavor department like so many others? Let me go! No! Stop! No!
Kent Brockman gets eaten by himself.
Which is weird, because why would a giant advertising mascot want to eat a person? But,
It's angry.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it is, right?
I mean, why not just, crush him in your hand? Why eat him? That just seems weird for a billboard.
It adds terror to the...
That's true. Everyone's far more scared of being eaten than just being smashed.
Why do monsters eat anybody, Matt?
I guess it's terrifying.
There you go.
More so than just dying.
It is, exactly. They want to create fear. We get Chief Wiggum on the scene, and he kills a monster, obviously.
They're not so tough.
Chief, that wasn't a monster. That was the captain of the high school basketball team.
Yeah, he was turning into a monster, though.
I mean, he could have... It's not like... He could be correct. He could be right. Maybe he was turned into a monster.
That seems unlikely unless it was a large banner with that star player on it, and it wasn't actually the player. It was the person from the banner that had stepped out of the banner.
Matt. They haven't done any kind of investigation into what the actual monsters are coming from. Yes, the ones we've seen so far are the advertising things, but maybe basketball players are next.
Sure, uh-huh.
Okay, glad you agree. Lard Lad comes back to Homer for his donut.
Hello? Yes? Oh, if you're looking for that big donut of yours, Flanders has it. just smashed open his house. He came to life. Good for him.
Help me, Lord!
I told you Flanders has it! Or Mo. Go kill Mo.
Just give him the donut. Once he has it, that will be the end of all this horror.
Well, okay. If it'll end horror. Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
Sometimes.
Poor Marge, because no, Marge is right most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not necessarily a bad assumption to make. You know, usually there is some MacGuffin that once you make things right with the monsters, they'll behave again.
Huh.
But
maybe.
They don't. He takes the donut and destroys more. He uses it as a weapon. Now, you gave Lard Lad a weapon. That's what happens.
Oh, Homer.
Lisa realizes by looking at the boot print of Lard Lad that maybe if they talk to the advertising agency that came up with them, at least Lard Lad, that they can come up with a solution. We go to this ad agency. They reckon that advertising, once you stop paying attention to it, it goes away. And that is true for the most part.
Or they spend more money and you have to deal with more advertising.
But it'd be a different one.
Maybe. Or it could just be like, no one's paying attention to our ad, spend some more money and put it everywhere else.
Well, in this situation, if you don't look at the advertising, it goes away forever.
If only that were true.
It's come
If
on.
only it were possible to not look at advertising.
That's why you have all those programs in your browser, Matt. The solution is to 1, write a jingle, and 2, get Paul Anka to perform it.
Hey, Springfield! Are you suffering from the heartbreak of monsteritis? Then take a tip from Mr. Paul Anka!
To stop those monsters, 1, 2, 3. Here's a fresh new way that's trouble-free. It's got Paul Anka's guarantee.
Guarantee void in Tennessee. Just don't look. 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 It worked! They're all dead! Well, except for Chubsy Ubsy over there.
Sprinkles.
Homer, stop looking.
Don't make us poke your eyes out, Dad.
Oh.
That's what'll happen. They'll poke your eyes out.
I mean, if that's what Lisa is, like all the characters are a little bit more violent in Treehouse of Horror episodes.
A little bit, yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do. You got to get those monsters out of there. You know, if it involves some poking some eyes out. But all the monsters die. I guess they don't. I guess they're dead.
They fall over.
They fall over. Yeah. I don't know about I don't know how much life and death is involved in any of it. But the act ends with Kent Brockman sending us to commercial with an omen about how advertising is going to return and kill us all.
Yeah,
and then
it's probably true, but you know.
Well, we can get into a whole like our post ad block future and how like advertising is actually the like less and less effective, and how a lot of like ways that entertainment makes money through advertising is kind of not working anymore, and therefore a lot of entertainment is not making nearly as much money as it used to because advertising isn't paying as much. But we can just talk about the next act, because after this we go to commercial.
Indeed, when we come back, we get to Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace.
Why was the voice, Matt? Why? I gotta listen to this.
I know. I
all
enjoy
are
making you
unpleasant,
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
pretty much. So we start out with a Tex Avery cartoon, which is a very interesting animation style compared to the Simpsons' usual. A lot of the colors are the same.
I like it a lot.
I do too. I would kind of like to see an episode in this entire style, but it's very like Looney Tunes kind of. Everyone's got gloves on, and the dog, Santa's little helper, talks and throws a frisbee back to Bart, which hits him, and he gets the little bump on his head, birds around his top of his head because he's been knocked out or whatever. But then something weird happens, and Willie shows up to rake his acquaintance, and he basically attacks Bart with a rake, and Bart wakes up with rake scratch marks on his chest, which is weird because it was a dream. So how did it happen in the real world? At school the next day, Bart finds out that the same thing has happened to other kids. Lisa was hit by a groundskeeper Willie with hedge clippers, so she's missing parts of her hair. And poor Nelson got run over with the floor buffer. There's a really great animation where you can actually, it looks like Nelson has been waxed. It's shiny and a little bit, weirdly thick coating around him. Principal Skinner steps in to let everyone know that there is no weird conspiracy behind this. Willie just disappeared. Nothing unusual about that, and they should go to class and not think about it anymore. In class, they proceed to take a standardized test, and Miss Hoover or Miss Krabappel encourages them to not try too hard because the more poorly they do in this test, the more funding they get. So, of course, Martin is his usual self and ignores this advice and is immediately finished despite having 3 hours. So Mrs. Krabappel tells him to put his head on his desk, and we get to have a wonderful rendition of Martin's dream.
I am the wondrous wizard of Latin. I am a dervish of declension and a conjurer of conjugation with 1,000,000 hit points and maximum charisma. Ha-ha! Morire, to die. Morit, he, she, or it dies.
Maurice, you died. Yay! You've mastered a dead tongue, but can you handle a live one?
Definitely had to include Martin's little scream there because it's really intense. Also, I was very impressed that Willie knew any Latin at all. Apparently, he knew the conjugation for "you die."
I really enjoy this. Is I think really good work here by. I'm gonna try and get to the root of this, Matt. Did you ever watch Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nope. Scary movies are dumb.
Okay, all right, guys. You just heard what he said, right? Okay. Nightmare on Elm Street is fun because you get lots of death scenes like this, where you get weird dream logic and Freddy Krueger making really bad puns. And I feel like this is there's a couple other times in this that he does like nice to rake your acquaintance and stuff like that. This is the best one. I think it perfectly blends the kind of menace but also like goofiness. It's also like campy, cheesy kind of way he's talking. Like I think if you're gonna nail one thing about the Freddy Krueger's whole deal, killing people and they're killing kids in their dream, it's the weird, punny, cartoon death stuff.
That's all you got?
Well, yeah, yeah, it's good. It's funny.
It is really good. I feel that I never noticed that actually until watching it today, and I was like, oh, that's what he's saying. He is continuing with the conjugations of Morius, you die. I don't know the rest of the conjugations. I didn't remember what Martin said, but yeah, that is a very notable way. It's basically one of those catchphrases that an action hero says right before they kill the bad guy, kind of thing.
Well, that's the beauty, and that's half the fun of Freddy Krueger is the fact that he gets all the catchphrases. He's the person we're rooting for in the Freddy movies generally.
Well, that sounds like the people watching the Freddy movies are not good people if they're rooting for the killer, Robbie.
It's a horror movie, Matt. That's like half the fun.
Fair enough. But after this, the kids run home to tell their parents, and Marge, of course, says, I don't know what this has to do with Groundskeeper Willie. And Bart and Lisa say, we didn't mention Groundskeeper Willie. So Marge at this point breaks down and tells them what happened on when Willie died. And apparently they were at school to discuss the misprinted school calendars. It was the 13th hour of the 13th day of the 13th month.
Matt, did you not pull Smarch?
No, I did not.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, come on. It's one word. It's the funniest part of it.
It is the funniest part of it.
Yeah.
You hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. Homer says lousy smarch weather because the 13th lunch is smarch. Moving on. At this point, Homer walks in, and of course it's freezing outside, and he wants to turn up the heat. However, Willie, who lives next to the furnace, has put in a note that says, please do not turn up furnace, Willie. And of course, Homer is a jerk and turns up the heat. which causes the furnace to essentially explode while Willie was playing his oh crap, what's the instrument? Bagpipes, right next to the furnace with the door open. I couldn't tell you, but that causes him to immediately catch on fire. And then the doorknobs in the school are, of course, due for repair, which the PTA declines. So, of course, the doorknob falls off. Then Willie attempts to use the fire extinguisher. Now, that's a free service by the fire department, recharging those. But everyone, of course, the PTA at Springfield Elementary, just like the children at Springfield Elementary, they decline that as well. So, of course, Willie tries to get someone to help him out of the classroom full of people. But despite the fact that he is completely burning to death, Mr. Van Houten has the floor with some concerns about Milhouse having 2 spaghetti dinners in one day. Because, I don't know, parents are weird, I guess. I'm sure the kid wouldn't mind 2 spaghetti dinners in one day. But Willie, of course, dies because Mr. Van Houten has the floor and no one will let him speak or help him. At that point, Willie swears revenge.
Help! Please help me!
Willie, please. Mr. Van Houten has the floor.
I, for one, would like to see the cafeteria menus in advance, so parents can adjust their dinner menus accordingly. I don't like the idea of Milhouse having 2 spaghetti meals in one day.
You'll pay for this with your children's blood!
All right, how you gonna get him? Skeleton power?
I'll strike where you cannot protect them! In their dreams!
Their dreams. Also, if someone wrongs you and doesn't save your life, it seems really a jerk move to go after their kids, since the kids didn't really do anything. Although I'm sure they have been quite mean to Willie in the past, so maybe he's just, really getting back at the kids at that point.
Yeah, I think he wants to punish the parents the best way he knows how, and that's by hurting their children. Although,
which jerk move.
To be fair, Willie in this episode, in this segment, is way more, has more reason to do it. His anger is pretty righteous, honestly, because it is basically just the schools and Homer, all them, in Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger was a child murderer who got off on, a police error, and so the parents got revenge on him and killed him, and he then came back to kill their kids some more. But he was already a bad guy. Willie was just a janitor. He's not...
Sure, technically Homer killed him. So,
yeah, Homer...
the Simpson kids, sorry.
Yeah, I know, honestly. So it's hard for me to root too hard against Willie. He didn't do anything wrong in this situation. He just wants some justice.
Burning child justice.
He doesn't really use fire.
No. He could, though, if he wanted to. It'd be very ironic. But the kids, now that they know this, realize the only way to stay alive is to stay awake, so they can't sleep. They try to use television and coffee. It just doesn't work. So Bart decides that he's going to go into his dream and try and beat Willie at his own game. This doesn't work too well. Willie shows up in Bart's dream as a giant tractor, but Bart, using his quick thinking skills, managed to trap him in a sandbox using some discarded leaves, and then adds a little water to it so that it becomes quicksand, because that's how quicksand works.
It's dream logic, Matthew.
I know. That's why I wasn't going to bring it up.
It's
any more than that.
Beautiful.
It really is. Willie slowly sinks into the sand, and Bart just assumes at that point that he is safe.
He's ready to segue into a good dream.
That's true, where Krusty shows up, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. And apparently Krusty makes some joke about Newt Rockne calling it the forward pass, which I believe was invented in the 60s. So maybe this is a dig at how old Krusty is. I don't know.
No. Oh, Matt. I think their joke is mainly, hey, here's some old football references. But
okay.
The forward pass was not invented in the 60s.
Really? I thought...
No.
Okay.
There was a lot less passing back in the day, but the forward pass was much older than the 60s.
All right, fair enough. So, at this point, Willie comes back, and he basically just grows and grows until he comes out of the quicksand, and he grabs Bart. Bart begins screaming for Lisa to save him. Lisa shows up in the dream to save him and tell him to wake up, but that means that Lisa fell asleep as well. And The Simpson kids are in deep, deep trouble until once again Maggie comes to save the day. Maggie has also fallen asleep and then uses her pacifier to stuff the exhaust hole of Willie's giant bagpipe spider, which causes him to explode, killing him for good this time.
Well, no, it doesn't kill him. Doesn't kill him.
No. Of course, the kids wake up and they're very relieved. So they go outside and think, "Oh, is Willie gone for good now?" But then Willie shows up getting off of the bus and tries to scare them, but forgets his gun on the bus, which then drives away without him. So I don't know if Willie came back from the dead or was never dead in the first place, but
it's magic. It's a supernatural. We just can't, you can't control these things. It's a nice little. It's just a dig at like these villains never die. They're always come back. No, the first forward pass was in 1906, Matt.
Oh, 6. Wow, I was way off.
I just wanted I wanted a firm date on that. It was in September 5th, 1906. By St. Louis University's Bradbury Robinson.
Good for him.
It fell incomplete and resulted in a turnover.
Well, yeah.
It didn't work out, sorry. What happens, man? What do we do?
That's the end. We go to commercial.
When we come back, we get Homer cubed. It's Homer with a 3. It's not literally, I can't notate that with my voice. But the family is welcoming Selma and Patty over for I guess some stories about their vacation to Sulphur Bay. That sounds like a place I'd like to visit.
Then you are a very strange person because that sounds like it smells awful.
Sulphur Bay sounds great. And all the family is hiding except for Marge. Marge is is in the kitchen getting food ready, I suppose.
That sounds like Marge.
Yeah, but all the kids are hiding in the closet. The dog and cat are under the rug in the living room, which is great because Homer peels it up and they're ready there to defend. But Homer decides to look behind a place that he's barely ever touched, the bookcase.
I never looked behind this whatchamacallit case before. Huh? That's weird. It's like something out of that Twilighty show about that zone.
I needed the reference to the Twilight Zone.
That was definitely a clip worth capturing. Good job.
Do I get a cookie?
From your wife, yes. Tell her to give you a cookie.
We're not eating carbs.
I can send you a picture of a cookie.
No carbs. Matt, cookies have carbs in them.
That's true, but I don't think pictures of cookies do, so I can send you a picture if you like.
Can I eat the picture?
No, sorry.
Okay, it doesn't really work. But Homer goes through the wall and emerges in 3D. For the first time ever. Never seen him like this before. It is strange.
Really? Is it what you expect? Like, when you first watched this, was this what you expected?
Okay, that I guess we can split this up. When I first saw this, the night it premiered as a child, I remember distinctly being amazed because this had never happened to The Simpsons before. An animation like this was still very new, especially to a 10-year-old kid. But watching it now, it's fun, but it's not. It doesn't look as good as just the regular animation. I think that's
true. That's definitely true. Sorry, I just looked it up. Toy Story was November 22nd, 1995, so it would have come out just after this. So it was very new.
Yeah, and I don't think I saw Toy Story. Did I see Toy Story in theaters as a kid? I don't remember. But Homer is in this new place. He's now in 3 dimensions. That's the other thing I found interesting about this is that they posit, I guess it works solely in a Treehouse of Horror sense. I don't think you could do this in a normal episode for the most part. It posits that the Simpsons are aware that their reality is in 2 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
Which doesn't make any sense when you think about it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily make... It only makes sense in the fact that it is a Treehouse of Horror episode. So it is... This whole new reality that Homer is in is mind-boggling, and we hear Homer's reaction to seeing all of this stuff for the first time.
Oh, glory of glories! Oh, heavenly testament to the eternal majesty of God's creation! Holy macaroni!
It's still a lot of fun. It's still a huge novelty because they don't. I think the best thing I can say about this 3D animation they do on Homer and on Bart later on is that it doesn't look frightening.
Was it supposed to look frightening?
I feel like Homer still has that appeal that Homer has visually, like as a cartoon character.
That's true, because he, even, rendered three-dimensionally, he still looks like Homer. It's just, it looks like he has a little more depth to him.
It also looks very much like a 90s screensaver.
Yes, that is very accurate. That's one of the things they really do in this segment is they really go into the, hey, look at all these cool three-dimensional things we can put together. There's cones and all kinds of weird stuff. Homer at one point gets stabbed in the butt by a cone. There's cubes.
There's geometric shapes. There's goldfish, which Homer calls unprocessed fish sticks. There's a bunch of math formulas floating around. What is that book we read, Matt? Mathematical...
The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets.
Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets. A lot of that book there's a chapter in that book which discusses a lot of the things that are
in the background.
Yeah, all the things that are floating around. There's Euler's formula. There is an unproven conjecture from computer science, P equals NP. Let's see. There's a long formula that's part of the Einstein's general relativity work. And there's also one that is close to Fermat's last theorem.
Right, it's close, but it works out to like a certain amount of decimal places.
Yeah, if you go out if you were doing the work on a calculator, it would apparently be right, but if you go out further in the decimal places, it is incorrect. So there's a lot of very, very, I don't know, obtuse math formulas and jokes, if you want to call them that. But they're floating around. Homer also has to reckon with the way his body has changed now that he's in 3 dimensions.
What's going on here? I'm so bulgy. My stomach sticks way out in front and my...
Homer looking at his own butt, and that's good. Marge is trying to figure out what happened to Homer. Homer is yelling at them from this 3rd dimension, and they don't know where he is. He's vanished. They first call Ned because he has a ladder, of course. Ned,
that's what your first thing you do when someone's missing. You hop on a ladder.
Ned hops on a ladder. No luck, unfortunately. And basically, like half the town shows up to try and figure out what happened to Homer. He's vanished, but we get Dr. Hibbert asking Homer to describe what it looks like inside.
This is your physician, Dr. Julius Hibbert. Can you tell us what it's like in there?
It's like, did anyone see the movie Tron?
No.
No. No.
No.
No. No.
No?
No. No.
No.
Yes. I mean, no. No.
Have you seen the movie Tron, Matt?
I have, several times.
The original?
Yes.
I like it that Homer has seen Tron. It does look like Tron.
I can't imagine there are that many people who didn't. Like, I find it hard to believe that entire town had not seen Tron.
Tron was not a very successful movie.
No, but I feel like it's one of those things that everyone sees at some point, even if it's just like on a Saturday afternoon on a random channel.
I think a lot less people have seen Tron than you think have, Matt.
Huh. All right.
I think way more people have seen the remake than they have of...
Well, that's probably true.
I guess it's a sequel. It's not a remake. Because all the things that happen in the original set up what happens in that sequel. So, finally, they get an expert on the scene. Professor Frink arrives and explains everything.
Well, where's my dad?
Well, it should be obvious to even the most dim-witted individual who holds an advanced degree in hyperbolic topology that Homer Simpson has stumbled into the 3rd dimension.
Sorry.
Here is an ordinary square.
Whoa, slow down, egghead.
But suppose we extend the square beyond the 2 dimensions of our universe along the hypothetical z-axis there. This forms a 3-dimensional object known as a cube or a frinkahedron in honor of its discoverer. Hey.
Help me! Are you helping me or are you going on and on?
Oh, right, and of course within we find the doomed individual.
So Homer's trapped. I do like the effects they do on his voice.
That's true. It sounds very much like he's in another dimension.
I mean, he is, man. He's in the third dimension. Grandpa volunteers to rescue him in a old-fashioned diving suit, but he's much too old. Finally, after Homer kind of escalates and at a certain point, the cone that Matt mentioned hits him in the butt. He gets angry, throws the cone, and the cone pierces a hole in the fabric of the dimension.
I find it hard to believe that's never happened before.
well, Homer is an intruder. This place existed without him just fine.
Fair enough.
And it's not strange. Homer, whenever he visits a new place, he inevitably wreaks havoc. Except in You Only Move Twice, in which Homer makes everything better. But he rips open a black hole, basically, in this third dimension, and he is in trouble because it is widening. It is sucking in everything else. So finally, Bart ties a rope around himself and jumps in to rescue Homer.
I don't have much time!
That does it. I'm going in.
Bart, no!
Cool, man.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be sucked into a black hole, I'm gonna be sucked into oblivion, I'm gonna be nothing, and what's gonna be coming out the other side, I don't know.
I'll save you, Dad. I can't get any closer. You'll have to jump.
Piece of cake, son.
Crack, 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 crack.
Bart, what happened?
Well, we hit a little snag when the universe sort of collapsed on itself. But Dad seemed cautiously optimistic.
Homie.
Be strong, Marge. I'm sure he's gone to a better place.
And after Reverend Lovejoy says that, Homer falls into a dumpster in our world, theoretically. I mean, it's
or some other realistic world.
Our world in 1995.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood. He walks down the street. Everyone is a little spooked by a cartoon character walking around until Homer sees the erotic cakes store and goes
Best store ever.
And goes into the. I mean, it sells cake.
Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, enough said. Homer goes in, and that is there's a crane shot as the credits roll, which apparently Fox really didn't want them to use any live action because they thought it'd be expensive.
Why?
They thought it'd be very expensive, even though it makes no sense because I think animation generally costs more per minute than live action does. But I mean, I can understand because you have to splice together the 3-dimensional Homer and the regular world. But I don't know. It's a fun novelty with Homer.
It's definitely more interesting than a lot of the Treehouse of Horrors could be.
It's interesting. I don't know. You couldn't air that same thing today and call like a lot of the timeless Simpsons episodes. You could air them at any time. Like if Lisa the Vegetarian had never happened, and then there was a new episode that happened tomorrow or something, you go, oh, it's great. I mean, the coloring would be a little different, but other than that, it's the same. But the 3D animation in this episode dates it and kind of puts it in a time and place.
Oh yeah,
which I kind of like it just for the nostalgia factor. They did it once, they didn't go back to this well for the most part. I think they used the computer animation for the Lego episode, but
that's true. Yeah,
I don't think they've done nothing else like this. Pretty much, I mean, they've used 3D animation. I think in the movie, I think they've used it. I think they have used it from time to time in very specific shots for the show, but it's generally for like environmental stuff. It's not generally for
the characters,
or even like a weird conceptual thing like this. It's not like, look at Homer, it's in 3 dimensions. It's just like, hey, it's easier to animate this using computer animation than it is using hand animation. So that's what we're going to do. It's a good Treehouse of Horror.
It is. It's an interesting mix. Your first one is a throwback to old 50s sci-fi. The second is, 1980s
slashers.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the third one is kind of a conceptual weird thing that just it's not really meant to scare you. It's just meant to be like, "Ooh, this is cool. Check this out." Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's when Homer uses the word Twilight Zone, I feel like that is the closest. It's just like because not all Twilight Zone episodes are scary. Some are just like, look at this strange idea. And there's certainly elements of fear in it, and because Homer's like this unknown place, but it's not necessarily all about being scared. It's all about seeing these weird things confront each other. But we will rank the segments at the end of the show. See where they go. Haven't done this in a while, so need a reminder of where our own rankings are.
Yeah, I'll have to find this this particular document. There we go.
You found the document.
Indeed, I did.
We have no submissions for this for my favorite episode, but if you have a favorite episode and you'd like for me to read it on air, simply send it to simpsonshowpod@gmail.com. When we get to that episode, I will read your submission. Next up, Matt, it is time, once again, for comments from the Newsgroup.
Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive.
Comes to the Newsgroup is where I will comb through the old alt.tv.simpsons newsgroup and see what people were talking about the week or two after the episode debuted. It's archived on Google Groups. Unfortunately, we still got like a solid month of nothing.
So weird.
I
really wonder what happened.
I've been trying to. I'm starting to peek ahead, and there's like one or two posts, but it's all garbage. It's not even. It's like off-topic stuff or spam. But Simpsons Archive still a very valuable resource. They have of the reviews they have of it, the stuff they grabbed. Overall, very good. A's and B's.
Wow, that's interesting. I guess it was the best way to put it.
Well, a couple people were upset, disappointed as always, but whatever. When it's 95% positive, it's 95% positive. So most people really liked it.
Cranky bitches going to be cranky.
They like the 3D. They like it. Treehouse of Horror is even in the seasons which are generally less good are still reliable. So when you have the Treehouse of Horror from the best seasons, they generally are. It's still the very novelty of the 3D Homer stuff kind of makes it interesting, even if you are, I don't know, not in the mindset to enjoy something of The Simpsons. I'm not sure when I read some of these reviews why these people even are watching the show anymore. If I watched a show and after for 10 episodes in a row, I was like, this is not good, I'd be like, I'm not watching anymore. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you'd think so.
I would just stop. But still very good. Overall, good grades, happiness. Some notes about Norman Vincent Peale, whose birthplace of Norman Vincent Peale gets crushed in the first segment. He was the author of, let me get the name right. Oh, The Power of Positive Thinking. Which,
well, apparently that was the joke because it didn't work out.
Did not work out so great. But that's about it. For that, I'm ready. I want the newsgroups back. I mean, I was getting very fed up with them, but I still miss it. I like that.
Well, yeah,
I like that cesspool of toxicity.
I like that cesspool of toxicity. That's a good name for it.
It's like when you play video games online. We can move on to our next segment. It's time for the listener question of the week.
Let's try one more number. Yellow.
KBBL is gonna give me something stupid.
The hot dog. We have a wiener. Yellow.
The listener question of the week this week is, what Simpsons quote do you use most in day-to-day life? So many good answers for this one. So many.
A lot of variety.
Yes, a lot of variety. A lot of responses. I pull a few extra just because we had so many, but you guys did a great job. Really appreciate them all. I read every single one, even if I don't necessarily read them all on air. First up, we have from Kevin. A lot of people at work usually tell me, and now we play the waiting game during work before lunch rush starts, which I ended with, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos. My coworkers always look at me weird. Steve, I'd have to go with Cat in the Furnace from when Homer has to look after the kids by himself. I use it while watching football, so if the game looks like only one team can win, it's Cat in the Furnace. Chris's answer, wow, this is a tough one. I'm going to have to go with stop, he's already dead at wrestling events. And the always funny, you have 30 minutes to move your car /cube exchange. From Abby, quote, my pants are chafing me, may or may not have relevance to my life, and maybe why I currently have a 6-month-old. Maybe. Cole's answer, calling out Lisa needs braces in a group of people hoping for a dental plan response. Chris's answer, whenever I park my car, I say, remember we parked in the itchy lot. I have used that one. Whenever you go to Disney enough times, or Universal, or any theme park.
Any theme park.
Any theme park, yeah. Tom's answer, my favorite has to be Homer's reply when Ralph says, Mr. Simpson, the tar fumes are making me dizzy. Homer says, yeah, they'll do that. I use Homer's response all the time when someone's complaining to me about something. Angela, I was saying Boo Earns. I use that. Jared, okay. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Often.
Polly's answer, usually the most random one-worders, fresh, and Pepsi? Alan at Alan Titus. That's a paddling. Scott at Pure Cromlins. Hey, fun boys, get a room. Valerie at Rouge Bonsai. My baby bunny is pretty stupid, so I say stupid babies need the most attention a lot.
Aww.
Kenneth at K Allen 42. Richer than astronauts is my go-to phrase whenever it is blinding obvious that I will not be rich, which is often. Rachel at Matt, R. 3. You may remember me from. 2. I am so smart. SMRT. I mean SMART. And number 1. Excellent. Will at World's World MN. Completely random, but my wife and I greet each other via text using Moo, which is Homer's reaction to Faux Invasion from Treehouse of Horror 17. Daniel at VeggieDuck. Whenever someone asks me what time it is, I reflectively say, it's time for chili. And finally, for Jessica Ruiz 1. Donuts, is there anything they can't do?
Donuts.
Donuts are good. Matt, what is your answer?
It was a tough choice for me. There are two things I really say a lot. One is excellent. I even do the finger steepling on occasion. But I think, honestly, the SMRT is more common in our household.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, the SMRT thing is the thing I use way more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, I do something dumb and like, yep, I'm SMRT. But I would say my runner-up is the boo words. I use that, when I'm booing something. I was not saying boo words. Or I was saying...
How often do you boo something?
It's for effect, Matthew.
Oh. Okay.
Not necessarily I am booing, but I was... When I say something, I say, like, that's bad, and then then I reinforce that statement by saying, I was not saying boo words. I am saying...
Fair enough.
There you go. Next week's question. What is the most... We did underrated a couple weeks ago. What is the most overrated episode?
Ooh, tough one.
I try and keep all the questions positive, but from time to time we can get the knives out and start, attacking. So I post this question on all our social media. Facebook.com/The Simpsons Show Pod. Twitter @Simpsons Show Pod. Again, you can email us at simpsonsshowpod@gmail.com. Reach out to us any of those places. Like us, follow us. I try and post all the stuff I find Simpsons related. Now that we're getting back into Simpsons new episodes, are probably going to be stuff I post more often than not. I did just post the Adventure Time intro on our Facebook, which is, as an Adventure Time fan, really cool. Next up, Matt, it is time, once again, for the No Google Trivia Challenge.
I am too smart. I am too smart. SMRT. I mean SMART.
The No Google Trivia Challenge is where Matt and I will each try and challenge each other with 3 trivia questions. 1 easy, 1 medium, 1 hard. Try and stump the other. We have a wager for this season. The loser has to eat 64 slices of American cheese. Or do their darndest.
Probably end up doing their darndest, because that's way too much cheese for one person.
I think you can do it. I think I can do it. I think you can do it.
Probably. I won't feel good about myself afterwards.
No, we'll absolutely hate ourselves, but I think it's achievable. It's not crazy. I've held a block of 64 slices in my hand, and therefore that could fit in my stomach.
You say so.
Is that a good rubric for if I can eat something, Matt, if it fits in my hand?
I don't think so, no.
I think I can eat it if it fits in my hand.
Maybe you can. That's generally not how I judge things.
You're bigger than me, Matt. You can eat more than me.
Possibly, but unlikely.
What do you mean possibly? You just are. You're like 6 inches taller than me. Of course you can eat more than me.
Meh.
I don't like this non-committal. I got an easy question for you, Matt. You ready?
I'm ready.
These are all from one episode, Matt.
Oh, do I get to know the episode ahead of time?
Sure. It's from The Great Louse Detective.
Okay.
Which you mentioned last week. I wrote, and I inspired by our very short discussion about Frank Grimes Jr. I wrote a piece for our Patreon. What alias does Frank Grimes Jr. use in The Great Louse Detective?
I believe he goes by Junior.
That is correct. That is correct.
All right. Are you ready for your easy question?
I'm ready.
Which clown-related entertainment show commissions kids' news in Girly Edition?
Krusty the Clown Show?
Indeed. The leading clown-based entertainment show.
I mean, I was trying to think if Gabbo but no Gabbo. Your medium question, Matthew.
Okay.
Who does Lisa think is the culprit behind Homer's attempted murders?
I believe she writes on Bumblebee Man.
She does. That is correct.
Why? Why, Lisa? I want to know.
They should have done a second episode that just followed her around. She was trying to solve the crime.
Yeah.
And her, like,
that'd be an interesting episode to
seeing,
go, like,
seeing
afterward.
Bumblebee Man do suspicious things.
All
right, give me a medium question.
All right, sir. Your medium question. What is the name of Bart's segment on Kids News?
Okay. It is the touchy-feely human stories. I want to say, like, is it Bart's People?
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You are correct.
Okay. That was like immediately, I'm like, it's Bart's People, right? Okay. Your hard question. Sideshow Bob goes with Homer on a tour of Homer's quote-unquote normal day. What do they do?
I mean, they start off with hang gliding.
Okay. More. What do they go? They go to 4 different places. Hang gliding is number 1. What are the 3 others?
They definitely go to the Quickie Mart. They go to work to the nuclear power plant, and they go to Moe's.
Is that your final answer, man?
That's my final answer.
It's incorrect.
Where then?
They go hang gliding. They visit the Quickie Mart.
Right.
And then they go to a garage because they total Homer's car. They do not go to the power plant.
I mean, they go to the power plant eventually. I guess that's not part of his initial thing.
They go because that's where they see Grimes Jr. for the first time. He is his mechanic.
No, he's his mechanic, but they don't go to the garage. He picks up Homer's car where Homer crashed it.
Oh, do you want the third answer to be the scene of the accident?
Sure, that's better.
Okay, the scene of the accident, but they do not go to the power plant.
Fair enough.
Then they go to Moe's, and then Moe's eggs get shot.
No, poor Moe's eggs.
The pickled eggs.
Moe's got quite the good collage of him and his pickled eggs.
He does.
All right, are you ready for your hard question?
I guess so.
What replaced Kids News when it was canceled?
Oof. This is just a blind guess because I don't remember this. Is it? I'm gonna say. I don't know. I can't. Mel gets a segment. I don't know.
Mel?
Sideshow.
Oh, Sideshow Mel. Gotcha. Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure.
I'm afraid that is incorrect. The correct answer is the Mattel and Mars Bar Quick Energy Chocobot Hour. I always forget the Quick Energy part.
How dare you? You're a monster.
I know, right? I'm the worst.
So, Matt and I were tied 3-3 for this episode. I'm still in the lead by 6 points, 18-12.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just got to hold strong. I'm afraid.
We'll see what happens, Robbie.
Because I've gotten out to a lead before, and then it disappeared. I lost. Let's see if I can just not lose by 20 points. I think that is ultimately my goal, is not to lose by 20.
Well, I'll step up my game, but not too much. Start making questions a little more difficult.
A little bit more difficult?
Crazy.
They're already difficult.
I don't think they're difficult enough.
Because I got 2 of the 3 correct?
Correct. That's exactly why I don't think they're difficult enough.
I feel like I should always get 2 out of 3 correct.
Nah.
At least. No? Okay.
Nope.
Matt, I have some questions for you from a listener.
Ooh, I like these.
These are from John.
Okay. Thank you, John.
He said a bunch of questions, all from You Only Move Twice.
Oh.
They are very difficult. He even says so. Up front, he's like, these are very hard questions. We're going to start with the hardest one, I'm going to say.
Oh, God. Okay.
Name as many characters you can who say bye to the Simpsons as they leave Springfield for Cypress Creek.
Oh, Lord.
There are 25 of them.
Oh, my gosh. Principal Skinner and Agnes. Mrs. Krabappel, Mrs. Hoover.
I'm trying to mark them off the list as I see them.
I'm pretty sure Wiggum, the Wiggum family, I should say all 3 of them, say goodbye. Mayor Quimby, who else? Mr. Burns, Smithers, Apu, the Flanderses, who else would be there? Gosh, so many. Reverend Lovejoy, Mrs. Lovejoy. That's all right. I'm into the point where I'm just gonna start naming random people. Willie. Let's see.
No,
who
Willie.
else would it be there? Not Willie. Okay.
No Willie.
Have all the others so far been correct?
No, they don't have all the families. There's no. You only get Ned. You only have Wiggum. You only have Lovejoy. You didn't have the others.
Oh, okay. Really? Helen wasn't there?
It's not listed.
Okay. Patty and Selma.
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. That was a reach. That's all I got. I'm sure there's lots more, but
Here we go, in order. You got 11 out of 25, Matt.
Yeah, almost 50%. Woo!
You got, let's see, there's Ned, there's blue-haired lawyer, Reverend Lovejoy, Professor Frink, Apu, Barney, Moe, Bumblebee Man, Krusty, Sideshow Mel, Sea Captain, Comic Book Guy, Mayor Quimby, Smithers, Mr. Burns, Dr. Nick, Dr. Hibbert, Snake, Chief Wiggum, Agnes Skinner, Milhouse, Otto, Principal Skinner, Chalmers, and finally, Nelson.
Very nice.
I think that'll do it. That's a long question.
That's the one? Okay. All right, fair enough.
Well, okay, I'll give you one more. What can one redwood tree from Cypress Creek provide?
Okay. Enough sawdust to mop up an entire day's worth of vomit at Disneyland.
That is correct. Good job, man.
Yes.
You got that one. If you guys, there's still a nice good amount left. I'll leave them for another day. You guys have any questions or themes you'd like us to use or think or utilize in some way, send them in. I will try and fit them in if I can. Matt?
Yes?
It is time for our final segment. Segment we end every single episode with. It is time for Best Episode Ever.
Best episode ever.
Best Episode Ever is the part of the show where Matt and I will rank the episodes categorically as we watch them chronologically, eventually compiling a list of every episode ever and how good they are. We do a little something different for Treehouse of Horror segments. After, last season, we decided, well, they're getting unwieldy in the regular list. So we broke them out. We ranked all the segments. Currently, number 1 segment is The Shinning. With the last place is Bad Dream House, which is from the very first Treehouse of Horror. But we will rank all 3 of these segments in our little. We have 15 on the list right now. We will rank all 3 of these segments. We'll start with Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores. I would probably. I'm trying to remember what some of these are. Oh yeah, It's a Good Life is the Bart. I would probably put this pretty low, honestly. I don't really.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not great. I'm looking somewhere around 11 or 12.
I don't know. There's just not. It's kind of just like, hey, monsters attack and kill stuff, but there's not a lot of character stuff. Like, it's not very character-based humor. It's mostly like, isn't it funny that monsters are eating people?
Well, it's mostly like this is just like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman from the 50s. So unless you really care about that movie, no one's going to care.
Yeah, I don't think the reference, 50s monster movies aren't, the things I enjoy most about 50s monsters movies are the Mystery Science Theater episodes that inevitably, talk over them, but this is just a straight parody and there's not a lot of meat. I would probably put it I would put it at 15, or no, 14, I guess. After The Raven, so a new 15. I would put it very low. I like The Raven more. Raven doesn't do a bunch, but it has. I like The Raven. I like poetry.
What was It's a Good Life?
That's the one where Bart can do he can will things into existence.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, right below The Raven is fine.
Yeah, it's Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores. All right, that's number 15 on the list. Next up, we have is A Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace. Matt is negative on this one. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm not so much negative as like I said, I'm not big on scary movies. I don't really care at all about Nightmare on Elm Street. So
you should watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
You
like those?
Boring.
They're not boring. They're fun. You get to see all kinds of crazy stuff in the dreams. And as they go, they get crazier. Like they go higher, way. There's literally is a part of the movie, one of the movies where it is a cartoon world, and the person is killed in the cartoon world through a Wile E. Coyote surrogate.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the fun of those movies. They're not serious. The first one is supposed to be serious, but they are not serious. I would put this probably right behind Bart Simpson's Dracula.
That's actually what I was looking at too. I think I would say I was actually thinking you would go higher than that, but I think that's a good spot for it because, like you said, it's a really good representation of Nightmare on Elm Street as far as I can tell from what I've heard and seen in other pop culture.
No, it is. It's
very
solid.
well executed. It's just it's not really my thing, but it seems good.
It is, and then I don't know. It's all these Treehouse of Horror segments are all even the baseline is good. That's the thing.
Yeah.
All of them are fun just because, and they're so short. It's not. It's hard to get angry at them for being, the less good ones. They're over before you can even start getting an opinion. And finally, Homer Cubed.
That's a tough one.
Where would you put this one, Matthew?
I really don't know. Because, like you said, it's not.
It hasn't aged terrifically well.
No, it hasn't aged very well. It's more like a Twilight Zone of like, hey, this is kind of weird. Let's go with this. I would probably put it.
If like that's the thing, I'm trying to fight like how cool it was at the time like trying not to think too much about how, obviously it's 20 years later of computer animation has.
Well, let's put it this way: Terror at 5.5 feet is another Twilight Zone ripoff. Do you think it's better or worse than Terror at 5.5 feet?
I would put it right behind Terror at 5.5 feet.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like it's good in that vein. It's just not held up well.
Yeah, it's the I understand that it's not going to, because obviously what are they going to do? They were using the pretty good technology at the time. I remember being distinctly impressed as a 10-year-old, but watching it now, you have to. I think you have to kind of try and separate that a little bit. I think that's what's so good about a lot like The Simpsons, in that, and most 2D traditional 2D animation, in that it doesn't age poorly. You can watch
looks the same since the beginning of animation.
Yeah, you can watch Snow White and it still looks beautiful, and that movie's 80 years old.
Yeah.
So in The Simpsons, you could watch aside from the weird animation stuff in that first season. After that, it's evergreen. It's almost always going to be good. The animation will always look nice. But because it's such a novelty, it's still, and they do really fun things with the idea of that in that short amount of time. So
they do. It's just meh.
So number 6 is Homer. I don't know how to do. I'm just going to say Homer cubed. So Shinning is still number 1 on our list. Now we have last places. 18 is Bad Dream House, but I think Bad Dream House is fine. It's
okay. It's better than a lot of regular Simpson episodes, but
But it's also that's kind of nature of the beast. But you'll find this list. I have the Treehouse of Horror list on our website, along with all of our normal best episode ever list, broken out by season, and now the Treehouse of Horror segments. You can find everything on our website, simply thesimpsonshow.com. Links to our Facebook, to our Twitter, to our RSS feed, links to this list, and links to our Patreon. If you'd like to throw us $1 or $2, we'd really appreciate it. What is our next episode, Matt?
Ooh, let's see. We're in season 7. Oh, I do believe it is King Size Homer.
King Size Homer.
Love that moo.
Big Fat Dynamo.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about it. Another very good episode as far as my memory of it goes. Let's see. Before we go, you can find me on Twitter at MixmasterCereal. It's MixmasterCereal. Please check out Handsome Boys Comics Hour. It's my comic book podcast. And my new podcast, which is called The Serial Fanaticist. I just dropped the first episode. They'll be dropping on every Thursday. Matt does not participate in social media. Unless you're certain of Patreon backer, you will not find him.
That's true. However, I have decided I am going to dig a hole and hide from all radio signals until the election is over. I'm going to bring a couple omnibuses of comics and hopefully sleep. And then maybe the craziness will have passed.
We're getting closer.
Oh, thank goodness.
It'll be over soon. You know what? And I mean that it will be over soon.
Yeah.
With that, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Matt.
And keep watching this episodes.
Shh.